Let's speak to the Chief Executive of Norfolk Citizens Advice. It's Mark Hitchcock. Mark, good morning to you. We know the economy's in a mess. We know the cost of living crisis is hitting everyone. And actually, you know what? An extra couple of pounds a week, that does hit people hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's cumulative, isn't it, Ed? We've been here. We've talked to you repeatedly down the last 5 years talking about the challenges facing Norfolk residents with increased costs in fuel, in energy generally, in these sorts of tax rises, and in the cost of things in the shops. It's generally going the wrong way from I think an individual pocket, and it's going to add to the overall challenges we're seeing in the growth of debt across the county.
I wonder how many people you get. I mean, do you see that people are coming to you and saying, "Oh my word, the council tax is about to come through, and I just can't afford it. You know, look at the increase. I can't sustain this." Is that something you see at Citizens Advice?
Yeah, it's a very familiar conversation for my colleagues to have with residents across the county. We've seen well over 1,000 issues in council tax in the last 12 months alone. It mostly comes to us in terms of queries around being able to pay, being in arrears with council tax, particularly with Norfolk County Council, the local authority collected council tax. So we regularly have to work with people to try and make sure that they are getting the kind of reductions that they are due, and helping them restructure payments. In some cases, also making sure they're on the right banding and paying the appropriate charge in the first place.
Even if they are on the right banding and they're charged the correct amount, how much help, how much support, what can you do at Citizens Advice in Norfolk to help those who are in arrears? Because we're talking about bills that can be potentially hundreds of pounds a month. You can quickly get into serious debt or arrears with that, can't you? Is there help for someone who says, I cannot afford to pay it this month?
So first of all, just to be making sure that everybody's listening does know that they're on the right banding and they check that. Also that if they're due some kind of reduction, that they're getting the right charge every month. So that's regularly what we have to look at first of all when somebody comes in to talk about council tax. There are an awful lot of types of reduction that can be applied to different people in different situations. One of the obvious ones that a lot of people know about is if you're a single person in a house, then there's a 25% reduction on the council tax. And whilst we're talking about weekly increases sounding like they're small amounts of money, if somebody doesn't have that kind of reduction in place, it could be £300 to £900 a year. So it is a significant charge. But if all those things are in place and you're still struggling, still finding yourself in arrears, still receiving some very challenging notifications probably from councils, then it's really important to come in and see us. Council tax is what's called a priority debt, so we have to make sure that's paid before even credit card debt is paid, and if you don't, it can become quite bad quite quickly. We've got ways of delaying that payment and helping people to restructure it. Obviously, the first port of call is to speak to councils and to see what they can do to help spread the challenge. For example, making it 12-month payments rather than 10. So there are ways of easing the burden. And then for people in the very worst circumstances that they've driven up quite significant arrears, then I think it's important to come and speak to an accredited debt team to see if we can find ways of restructuring that and dealing with debtors so that you can find a way out of that kind of pressure, because it is possible to do that. There are various hardship payments and support options that we can put in place depending on your circumstances.
Well, thank you very much for talking us through that. Mark Hitchcock from Norfolk Citizens Advice.